Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, B-class students. It's your Uncle William back again after a long time. And today we're going to look at Unit 10. So let's go there. And the chapter is called What If? Today we're going to look at wishes and possibilities. The second conditional, I wish plus the simple past. Vocabulary, verbs, and definitions. So let's look at these pictures here. What do you think's going on? Looks like a smartwatch there. And she's counting some money. What do you think these people are doing? Okay, I've got my coffee here. Let me take a sip. Okay, I'm ready. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's listen to the conversation between Sally and Ryan.
Unit 10, page 64, Conversation.
There's a quiz in this magazine. How honest are you? Do you want to do it?
Not really. You know I'm not interested in quizzes.
Number 1. If you found an expensive watch on a park bench, what would you do?
Well, if I found a really good watch, I'd keep it.
Really? You wouldn't take it to the police?
No, I'd sell it and give the money to the homeless.
I see. Number 2. If a store clerk gave you too much change, would you give it back?
No, I wouldn't. I'd keep it. Prices are too high anyway.
Number 3. If a waiter forgot to charge you for something you ate in a restaurant, would you tell him?
No, but I'd leave a bigger tip. Say this is good. Are there any more questions?
Yes, but I'm depressed now. I wish you were a little more honest, you know?
But I am honest. I'm telling the truth, aren't I?
Okay, so if we look a little bit closer at this conversation, we can see some phrases. For example, here, if a waiter forgot to charge you, would you tell him? Okay. Notice how it starts with if, and this verb is in the simple past, and would, and another verb. And here's one, I wish you were a little more honest. And if we go up here, here's another if statement. If I found, I'd keep it. So that's called the conditional. If we look at this language box here, we can see more conditionals. Okay, and I wish statement. I wish plus simple past verb. Okay, let's listen first.
Unit 10, page 64, Language Box.
If I found a watch, I'd take it to the police. What would you do if you found $20? I wish you were more honest.
Okay. So let's head over to page 111 and learn more about this. The second conditional. We use the second conditional to talk about imaginary or improbable situations in the present or in the future. If I had the time, I'd exercise more. Notice they all take the form of if plus simple past verb, had, comma, would or wouldn't, I would, and verb, exercise. And like the other conditional we learned, you can put this part first and this part second. See this one? What would you do if you found a cell phone? But we don't use the comma. If the if clause is second, we leave out the comma. Okay. Only if is first do we use the comma. Would can be replaced by could to talk about ability. If you could have anything for dinner tonight, what would you have? If they worked harder, they could make more progress. And as I just told you, the if clause can come first or second. Here it comes first with a comma. Here it comes second. And if we use the if clause, we can use was or were. If the weather was better, we could have a picnic. If I was rich, I'd live in a big house. Myself, as an English speaker, I think were sounds a lot better. It sounds more natural. So I would say, if I were rich, okay? But it's up to you, whatever you want to use. Myself, I use were, okay? And the difference in meaning between the first and second depends on how the speaker sees the situation. So this one is the first. If I win the game, I'll call you. Notice the verb is in the simple present. I will. If I won 1 million, I'd buy a plane. Okay, this one is the second conditional. I don't think this one is possible, but I do think this one is possible. Okay? So if it's possible, use the first. Impossible? If I think it's impossible, second. And the I wish statement. We use I wish statement to talk about something we wish was different. We'd like to be different. I wish I lived closer to work. Notice how the verb is in the simple past. I wish I had $1 billion. Not really, but I wish I could see that person. Notice how I used could. Okay. And the negative one, we used didn't. And the verb is simple present. I wish we didn't have so much homework. Okay. I wish I didn't see that movie. Okay, so let's practice on the next part. Put the words in order to make a sentence or a question. Stop your video and do that. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. Notice how this one is. I would ride to work if I had a bicycle. Remember, we can put it another way if we want. If I had a bicycle, comma, I would ride to work. Okay, both are okay. Let's look at the rest. Okay. The last 4 are all questions. Okay. So remember to learn how to do that. And let's go to the next part. Match the phrases to make a sentence. Let's do the first one together. If she didn't work so hard, gee, she wouldn't be so exhausted. So do the rest of those. Then I'll show you the answer. Okay, the answers are down here. Okay. Let's head back to the unit. Do some vocabulary. Okay, so we see this guy, he's holding a lot of money. He looks pretty happy. That money looks like the European from somewhere in Europe. I don't know which country, or maybe it's the euro. So look at these definitions and match with the word. You can use your dictionary if you want. Okay, let's take a look at the answers. I'll do this really slow so you can see. Okay. That's why it's always better to write the letter, not to draw a line. Okay. Okay, let's move on. And we have some words here. Borrow, forget, lend, owe, and pay. Very similar words. Complete the conversation. Before you listen, try to complete that. Okay, let's listen.
Unit 10, page 65, real life exchange.
Tim owes me some money, you know.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, I lent him $50 last month, and he hasn't paid me back yet.
That's too bad. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe he's just forgotten.
Well, if I borrowed some money from someone, I wouldn't forget.
Okay, so you have to be careful here because the verbs are in different forms. They're not all in this form here. So the first one, owes. Remember Tim, he, we add the S. Okay? Lent. Lent is the simple past of lend. Not lended, lent. Hasn't paid. What form is that? Right, that's the present perfect. Has not paid. Borrowed, simple past. Forget. Simple present. Okay, and let's go down a little bit. Respond to each statement by saying really and repeating the key information. So the first one, if I could afford it, I'd buy a new car. Really? You'd buy a new car? Okay, so do that for each one. Okay, let's listen to it.
Unit 10, page 65, strategy.
If I could afford it, I'd buy a new car.
Really? You'd buy a new car?
I'd like to be a chef one day, you know?
Really? You'd like to be a chef?
I saw John last night.
Really? You saw John last night?
This phone only cost $30.
Really? It only cost $30?
I've been sick all week.
Really? You've been sick all week?
Okay. That's how we show surprise or show interest. You just repeat it, or that's just one way we can show that we're interested in what the person is saying. Okay, listen and check. Oh, no, we did that. Okay, let's go to the end here. Oh, before we do that, and you see, to show even more interest, we can add another question on there. So we can say, really? You'd buy a new car? What kind of car would you buy? Let's try number 2. I'd like to be a chef one day, you know? Really? You'd like to be a chef? What kind of chef would you like to be? So we try that with 3, 4, and 5. Really? You saw John last night? Where did you see him? Okay. Let's finish it off on page 123. Unit 10. Linking. Would you? Notice how when they say would you really fast, it sounds like would ya? Would ya? Okay, let's listen.
Unit 10, page 123, pronunciation.
What would you do if you saw a ghost? If you were rich, where would you live? Which famous person would you like to meet? Would you like to go skydiving? How would you celebrate if you won the lottery?
Okay, so practice those a few times, and I will leave you there for today. I'll see you next week. Goodbye.